Why do intelligent people believe extraordinary conspiracy theories? Is it simply because they're gullible, or is it something much deeper going on inside the human mind? Today we'll explore why conspiracy thinking is almost universal, why evolution may have wired us to see hidden patterns everywhere, and why these beliefs tell us as much about human consciousness as they do about politics or society. By the end, we'll see that the search for hidden realities isn't always irrational, but why science and pseudoscience part company in how they investigate them. So, we're on part 44 of the video series, and this is still chapter 5, Ethics, Free Will and Human Life, and it's the last part in chapter 5. So, why people believe in conspiracies theories. Conspiracies have always shadowed human culture. They range from whispers about hidden elites to elaborate stories about secret technologies or malevolent cabals. While the details change, the underlying patterns are ancient. To understand why folk believe in conspiracies, we need to look at psychology, history, and the same themes of perception, illusion, and meaning that run through this book. At root, conspiracy thinking is about agency. The human brain dislikes randomness. Faced with complex or frightening events, people find it easier to imagine a guiding hand, even a sinister one, than to accept chance. A plane crash, a pandemic, a political assassination, these can all feel intolerably arbitrary. Believing that someone caused them, however dark the intention, restores a sense of order. The world may be dangerous, but at least it is not meaningless. This is the same impulse that underlies much religion and belief in the supernatural. Rather than accept a chaotic or indifferent universe, people posit gods, spirits, or cosmic forces that give shape to events. The rain falls because of an offended deity. A disease spreads because of a curse. A disaster strikes because of karma. Whether divine or demonic, the pattern is the same. Invisible powers shape the visible world. Conspiracies translate this template into modern politics and technology. The gods are replaced by governments, corporations or secret societies, but the structure is familiar. Evolutionary psychology helps explain why this bias exists. Detecting agency has survival value. If you assume that the rustle in the grass is a predator, you might run unnecessarily, but you will survive. If you dismiss it as the wind, when it is a predator, you die. Evolution therefore primes us to err on the side of seeing intention everywhere. Conspiracies are the cultural echo of this deep wiring. Perception plays a role too. As explored earlier, our senses do not deliver reality directly, but icons shaped by survival. The mind simplifies, fills gaps and builds stories. Conspiracies can be seen as large-scale versions of this narratives that impose coherence on confusing data. They function like myths, stitching random events into a storyline that feels satisfying. This ties back to the book's wider theme of illusion. Just as our interface with the world hides deeper structures, conspiracies can be thought of as social illusions, shared fictions that give groups identity and meaning. They are not mere mistakes, they perform functions. Believing that events are controlled by hidden forces can provide comfort, belonging and even rebellion against official narratives. Religion provides a parallel. Just as sacred texts offer a meta-story that explains suffering and purpose, conspiracies offer a counter-story that explains injustice and inequality. Both often rely on revelation, secret knowledge available only to the initiated. In mystical traditions, this is gnosis. In conspiracy culture, it is the red pill. Both create insiders and outsiders, the enlightened and the blind. Supernatural beliefs overlap with conspiracies too. Ghosts, demons, and psychic forces operate in the same unseen spaces that conspiracists populate, with clandestine operatives and technologies. Both appeal to a sense that reality has hidden layers, accessible only through special insight. Placed in the context of this book, conspiracy thinking is a cultural symptom of the same human drive to probe beneath appearances. Physics suggests space-time may not be fundamental. Evolution suggests perception hides reality. Eastern philosophy suggests that what we see is Maya. See section 51. Maya, that's illusion. Conspiracies mirror these intuitions, but without the discipline of science or philosophy, they are folk theories of hidden reality, sometimes misguided, sometimes manipulative, but always reflecting the suspicion that the surface is not the whole. Understanding conspiracies, therefore, does not mean simply dismissing them. It means recognising the human need for meaning, the evolutionary tilt towards agency, the deep discomfort with randomness. Conspiracies are distorted attempts to answer the same questions we are asking here. What is real? Who controls it? And how do we know? I'll just summarise this part and then I'll give you a summary of the whole chapter before we move on to chapter 6. So perhaps the real question isn't why conspiracies exist, but why human mind is so eager to search beneath appearances. If brains evolved to find patterns, detect hidden agents and construct meaningful stories, then conspiracy theories become understandable, even when they're wrong. The challenge is learning how to distinguish genuine hidden structures from imagined ones. And this brings us to the end of chapter 5. In the next chapter, we'll begin exploring the uneasy boundary between genuine science and its imitators, as we ask why so many people misuse science language to support mystical beliefs, illusion and pseudoscience. So next up is chapter 6, Science, Mysticism and Illusion. And we'll do part 42, section 42, When Science is Misused, Mystics, Illusionists and Pseudoscience, part 1. But first of all, here's a summary of chapter 5. So chapter 5 summary. This chapter has wrestled with a difficult possibility. that ethics, free will, and even the self we take to be choosing may not be as solid as we feel. Evolutionary theory suggests morality emerged as a survival strategy. Cooperation outcompetes chaos. Neuroscience hints that decisions may begin before we consciously claim them. Physics presents a world that is either determined by prior states or punctuated by randomness, neither of which leaves much obvious room for the traditional notion of an uncaused sovereign will. And yet, despite these pressures, the experience of responsibility does not evaporate. We still feel guilt, admiration, outrage, and love. We still build systems of justice. We still speak the language of choice. This tension reveals something important. Even if free will is constrained, emergent, or partially illusory, responsibility may still function as a necessary layer of human reality. Just as perception gives a workable interface rather than ultimate truth, morality may be an interface for social life, a way of navigating complex rational systems. Illusion here does not mean falsehood, it means structure serving function. The sense of agency may not be metaphysically ultimate, but it may be psychologically and socially indispensable. The Western pursuit of happiness adds another layer. If the self is fragile and freedom uncertain, then the modern obsession with optimization, wealth, productivity, status, even self-improvement begins to look unstable. Much of our suffering may arise from defending and perfecting a construct that neuroscience and philosophy have already called into question. Conspiracy thinking too can be seen as an extension of the same drive, the need to locate control, agency and intention in a world that feels unpredictable. Where randomness unsettled us, we invent hidden hands. So where does this leave us? If morality is evolved, free will uncertain, and happiness culturally engineered, then Western frameworks begin to look provisional rather than final. We have analysed the machinery of choice, responsibility and belief, but the deeper question remains, how should we live if the self itself is not fundamental? At this point the conversation must widen. Western science and philosophy have pushed hard against the solidity of the I, yet they might often stop short of reimagining life beyond it. Other traditions did not hesitate. Buddhism, Vedanta, Taoism began not with the defence of the self, but with its dissolution. They treated illusion not merely as cognitive glitch, but as the root of suffering. Chapter 6 steps into this contested territory. Having examined ethics and agency within the possibly illusory framework, we now confront a sharper boundary. What happens when science meets mysticism? What does disciplined inquiry end and metaphor begin? And can the language of illusion be used without sliding into confusion? The next chapter does not abandon clarity, it tests it.